Welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to explain an American computer animated action fantasy film called How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Get comfortable. In the film, Hiccup, the new chieftain of the Dragon Riders, leads a small team of dragon riders to rescue captured dragons from warlords and bring them to Berk. In this Viking dragon utopia, other dragons live with humans. The plan doesn't go accordingly when the team is attacked by guards, so Hiccup orders his men to free the dragons and go while he takes on the guards. Shortly after, Hiccup and his men are set to leave. Still, his Night Fury dragon, Toothless, senses something suspicious as the dragon riders evaluate. After Toothless leaves to rescue Hiccup from the surrounding guards, a female White Fury dragon appears from the darkness as she has been hiding from Toothless, who sensed her presence. Moments later, Hiccup and his fellow dragon riders return to Berk with the rescued dragons. Hiccup soon realizes that the island has become overcrowded with dragons. Astrid is paired up with Hiccup so they can marry and lead the dragon riders into the future. In the meantime, the warlords hire infamous dragon hunter Grimmel the Grizzly to find and capture the Alpha Night Fury, believing they can control other dragons when they have the Alpha. The warlords explain that the young chieftain, Hiccup, has been stealing their dragons. He has too many dragons protecting Berk, making it impossible to invade the island and retrieve their dragons. They offer the White Female Fury dragon to Grimmel as bait to capture Toothless. However, Grimmel is not worried about Hiccup as he believes that Hiccup is still too young to rule a kingdom. That night, Hiccup dreams about the story of the Hidden World, a secret land at the edge of the world, which his late father, Stoic, believed was the home of all dragons. His father believed he could end the war between humans and dragons. The next morning, Hiccup is by himself, wondering what to do about the overpopulated island. He doesn't pay attention to Toothless, who wants to play with him. Some minutes later, Astrid joins him, discovering his secret spot. Hiccup assumes she's there to talk about getting married. Still, the conversation makes them uncomfortable as neither of them is ready to get married. Astrid tells him she is also worried about the safety of the dragons and the Vikings, believing that the more dragons they bring to the island, the more enemies they attract. Hiccup then tells her about his plan to find the hidden world his father talked about, but she believes it is a myth. Hiccup is convinced that it exists and that he will find it. Astrid thinks his plan is ridiculous, and he teases her about getting married instead. Suddenly, Toothless flies off into the woods, sensing something suspicious again, and discovers the White Fury. Sparks fly between the two dragons as they admire each other until she senses Hiccup's and Astrid's nearby presence. She becomes hostile toward them and flees, leaving Hiccup lonely. Astrid dubs the dragon Light Fury. The next morning, Hiccup is restless about seeing the Light Fury again as he is in love. Frustrated with Toothless' restlessness, Hiccup decides to search for the Light Fury in the woods. Later, Hiccup and Toughnut, another dragon rider, discover dragon traps in the woods as they search for the Light Fury. Hiccup returns to Berk and reports his findings to the dragon riders. A dragon hunter believes that the traps were designed by Grimmel, whose infamous methods of dragon hunting are considered genius and deadly. The dragon hunter warns the overconfident Hiccup not to underestimate Grimmel's antics since hunting for dragons is Grimmel's favorite thing to do. That night, Grimmel visits Hiccup and asks that he surrender Toothless. Hiccup doesn't know who he is since he has never met him until Grimmel reveals that he single-handedly killed the Night Furies. Hiccup reveals he was prepared for his arrival. Suddenly, his men ambush Grimmel, but he escapes, using his Deathgripper dragons to burn down Hiccup's house. Hiccup assembles the Berkians and dragons afterward and suggests they leave the island as it is no longer safe for them and the dragons. He tells them of his quest to find the hidden world, where they can be safe from dragon hunters. The citizens agree to join him and fly off the island the next morning. Mid-journey, the Light Fury returns, distracting Toothless, who is happy to see her again. Meanwhile, Grimmel explains to the warlords that he will soon capture the Night Fury since the dragons and Berkians are defenseless and exposed, and Toothless has been introduced to the Light Fury. However, Grimmel's theatrics annoys the warlords, who believe the dragons will be too far gone to catch since they have fled the island. Hours later, the Berkians discover an island where they can rest, but Hiccup tells them they cannot settle there since it is unsafe. The citizens insist on settling there as they do not know if the hidden world exists. The frustrated Hiccup agrees to let them settle on the island, which they dub New Berk. Early the next morning, the Light Fury appears again, drawing Toothless into the open. They start to bond, but when she senses Hiccup's presence, she flies off again. Hiccup worries about Toothless' inability to fly solo after realizing the effects on his growing relationship with the Light Fury. Hiccup then decides to rebuild an automatic tailfin for him and encourages Toothless to fly off to meet up with the Light Fury. Toothless is grateful to him and flies off searching for the Light Fury. With the Berkians exposed, Valka decides to go on a scouting patrol to ensure they are not being followed. However, she is attacked mid-air by Grimmel's dragons and notices Grimmel's approaching army. In the meantime, Hiccup and the Light Fury fly to an unknown land. That night, as the Berkians marry, Hiccup worries about Toothless' safety and doesn't trust the Light Fury because she's always flying off. Suddenly, Valka returns and reports her findings to Hiccup, who suggests that he and the dragon riders sneak into his camp to capture Grimmel. That night, they fly over but end up falling into his trap. Hiccup asks why Grimmel is hunting dragons, and he replies that he doesn't believe dragons are fit to live amongst people, so he wants to kill all dragons even though he has dragons of his own he uses to capture his prey. Hiccup and the group barely escape as Grimmel's dragons attack them with their venomous stingers and acidic vomit. After they return to New Berk, the group realizes Roughnut was left behind and is now Grimmel's prisoner. Hiccup blames himself for endangering everyone and letting Toothless go, thinking he would return. He begins to doubt himself. However, Astrid still believes in him and offers to help him find Toothless. Meanwhile, Grimmel lets Roughnut go when she irritates him, but he secretly uses her as bait to find New Berk. In the meantime, Hiccup, Astrid, and her dragon Stormfly search for Toothless and find the hidden world, where several dragons live together. Moments after, they see Toothless and the Light Fury leading the dragons as king and queen. Hiccup becomes sad that Toothless will no longer need him. Out of nowhere, Hiccup and Astrid are discovered and attacked by a ferocious dragon. Still, Toothless rescues them and returns them to New Berk. Upon returning to the Berkians, Hiccup realizes that humans would be intruders and unsafe in the hidden world. Toothless is sad that he has to be away from the Light Fury. A few moments later, the Light Fury appears, and Roughnut returns, not knowing she had unintentionally led Grimmel to New Berk. Hiccup becomes suspicious, but he is too late. Grimmel appears and captures Toothless and the Light Fury. With Toothless Alpha status, Grimmel holds off Berk's dragons from attacking him and allows him to capture them by holding the Light Fury hostage. Hiccup is dejected, but Astrid doesn't give up on him. Together, they set out with the dragon riders to stop Grimmel and his army. Since they no longer have dragons, Hiccup makes them wingsuits that allow them to sneak into Grimmel's camp and catch his army off guard. A battle begins as they free the dragons. Hiccup frees Toothless while Grimmel drugs the Light Fury into obeying him and flying off. Toothless and Hiccup fly after them as Grimmel's Death Grippers swarm them, but they come out victorious, continuing their pursuit. Not wanting to accept defeat, Grimmel tranquilizes Toothless in mid-air, causing him to fall. Hiccup then frees the Light Fury, allowing her to save Toothless as Hiccup is willing to sacrifice himself to save Toothless. As he and Grimmel fall from the sky, the Light Fury returns in time to save Hiccup, leaving Grimmel to fall to his death. Back on New Berk, Hiccup decides to let Toothless and the dragons return to the hidden world since dragons are not safe in the human world yet. Hiccup tears up as he parts with Toothless. The Berkians tearfully set their dragons free as they will miss them. Following the Light Fury's lead, the dragons fly away with her, and Toothless joins them after Hiccup assures him he will be fine. Sometime later, Hiccup and Astrid marry and become the new chieftains of New Berk. Years later, Hiccup and his family sail across the sea to visit Toothless and the Light Fury, who now have 3 dragon babies. Hiccup introduces his son and daughter to Toothless, who accepts them. Toothless and the Light Fury then take Hiccup and his family flying as Hiccup vows that he and the Berkians will keep the existence of dragons a secret until it is safe for humankind and dragons to coexist peacefully with one another. That was all from the video. Subscribe to this channel to watch more content like this. See you next time.